Hey everyone, Luna here, and I am making this video to share something really personal for me, and hopefully it'll cause some awareness to some people. A couple of you whom I stayed in contact with after my disappearance from YouTube for a while have asked how I'm doing and what's new and what changed and things like that. And after we lost our house, we were back on our feet, but the main reason why I just kind of took a step back from life and from YouTube and from everything was because in July of 2012 I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Officially, I am diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, and it's just one of the many types of schizophrenia. Schizoaffective disorder is when a person has symptoms of both schizophrenia and a major mood disorder. So it could be mania, it can be depression, or like me, it could be bipolar. Mine is bipolar type 1 and schizophrenia, and they usually happen at the exact same time, and it's very frustrating. There are other, like I said, there are other types of schizophrenia. There's paranoid schizophrenia, disorganized schizophrenia, catatonic, and residual, and they each have their own symptoms. The main common symptom in schizophrenia is delusions, and hallucinations. So like with paranoid schizophrenia, a person feels really suspicious or persecuted or grandiose. During one of my hospital stays, one of my roommates had paranoid schizophrenia, and as an example, she saw a scratch on the wall by her bed and she swore that it was mold. So me, in an attempt to help her out, I covered it with a sheet of white paper, taped to it over it, and said that it would stop the mold. I'm not the brightest of people, but it got her to calm down a little bit, so I guess it worked. Another example, it would be catatonic. During one of my treatments, one of the patients was wheeled in, and she didn't move. She didn't speak. She hadn't spoken in years. They just, like, it was like she wasn't even there. So even in the big scheme of things, I'm happy I have the one I have, and that I can function and be with people and be alive and not have to worry. Well, not anymore. Anyway, there's a lot of misconceptions with schizophrenia. A lot of people think it's just hallucinations, like, oh, it's just you see things or you hear things that aren't there. A lot of people are like, oh, you just hear voices, right? No. For me, I have all types of hallucinations: olfactory, auditory, visual, all of them. And it sucks. I don't know how else to put it. It just sucks. When I was first hospitalized in July of 2012, I didn't know what was going on. I had left the house. My friend Keisha was staying with us, so she had my son, who was still an itty-bitty baby then, and I had left the house, and I don't know where I went. I just remember coming back into the house. There was glass in my hand, and then Keisha took one look at me and was like, "We gotta go." She didn't tell me where we were going. I didn't know where we were going. She just took the baby, who didn't feel like going to sleep at the time because it was like 1:20 in the morning, and she took me to the ER, and I had cuts and scratches all over my arms, all over my legs. I don't even remember doing them, but I know I did. I was a mess. And there had been warning signs. I had been accusing Keisha and my husband of an affair, of how they were blocking me out, it was ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Things that just made absolutely no sense to anybody else except me. And that's one thing that people seem to forget. When a person has delusions, or when a person has hallucinations, while it may not be real for you, it is very real for them. That is reality. The fact that I was completely off didn't matter. I still had the feelings of loss. I still had the feelings of being shut out. I still had the feelings of vulnerability. Those were real. Those were things that I could feel, even if the reasons didn't make sense. A lot of people that I've come across who know about my illness and have known me for years, like friends and family, a lot of them thought that what I was doing was for attention. And in a way, I can understand where that came from. I am very melodramatic. I am spoiled. I was spoiled as a child. I had a rough childhood due to abuse, but for the most part, I got what I wanted. And as a teenager, I was even more spoiled. And I was spoiled by my husband. I was spoiled by my mom. I was spoiled by my siblings. I was spoiled. So some people thought that this was a cry for attention instead of a cry for help, which hurt a lot, because I feel at one point in time, before he understood what was really going on, I think that's what my now ex-husband thought originally. Now he understands. Actually, I think he understands it better than I do sometimes. Because he'll warn me and be like, you are overdoing it. You're gonna end up with symptoms. You're gonna relapse. You gotta slow down. And I'm like, no, I got this. Get too stressed out, start hallucinating, end up having to go back to the doctor. So, and then he's like, I told you so. So I think now he understands a lot more than I do sometimes. So, anyway, one of the treatments that I went under was electroconvulsive therapy. Now, electroconvulsive therapy is what is known as electroshock, and the misnomer comes from the fact that before they did it, they used to put a person under insulin shock. Like your body, they actually put your body in shock with an insulin overdose to treat symptoms. So when they moved to electrocution, the misnomer happened because it was shocking them into a new reality. And now, most people, when I tell them I've done a ECT, is what it's called, electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, and that I actually have to go electroshock, because they're like, what? When I tell people that that was a treatment that I underwent to get better, their first reaction is just complete horror. They're just like, why would you do that? And I'm like, it is not at all like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They don't strap you down and put electrodes on the side of your head and then flip a switch. It's nothing like that at all. You go in after fasting. It's kind of like a major surgery. You can't have anything in your system. You have to pee beforehand. And I learned that the hard way. If you don't pee beforehand, you're going to pee during. And that is not pleasant. So what they do, you go in, you haven't had anything to eat after midnight. Usually you go in anywhere between 8 in the morning to noon, just depends on when your appointment is. And for me, I have to take out my piercings. I have my eyebrow, my nose, and my tongue. Mostly because I apparently, when I am under anesthesia, attack my face. Like I start pulling and tugging and things. And then of course I can accidentally choke on this. So I take off all my piercings. They usually put me in a little envelope. I usually go there without it, but sometimes I forget. So it's usually put in an envelope or a little container. I lay down. They make sure I know what I'm getting myself into. They ask for my name, what we're doing, all of that. You take off your shoes. They put in an IV. And they make sure that you're generally healthy, so they ask medical questions and things like that. And then when you answer, like if you answer like, oh, I have this ailment, they pretty much want to make sure that you're not having any adverse side effects from having the treatment. Then they put you under. They give you a breathing mask for oxygen, and they make you count backward from 10. And I barely ever made it past 5, and then you're out. And then you don't wake up until God knows when, because they never had a clock nearby. Afterward, you're a little bit sore, but you're just woozy from the anesthesia. And me personally, I felt like shit that same day, like when I went home, and then I'd sleep the rest of the day, but then I felt awesome the rest of the week. And it's done gradually. When you first start ACT, you do it 3 times a week. Then after some time, you do it 2 times a week. Then after some times, you do it every other week. Then every 3 weeks. Then once a month. And then you do it once a month for 6 months, and that goes, and if you're still doing well, then the treatments end. You can go back, like if symptoms reemerge, you can go back for maintenance and things. But just be aware that there are some side effects. You get headaches sometimes, and short-term memory loss. Like, I had to write everything down, because I couldn't remember anything. Anyway, when I first got diagnosed, it became more apparent what was going on with me when I was finally able to say, this is what's wrong, this is what's causing this. And I felt completely lost. I felt broken. And because of my diagnosis, I didn't know what to think. When it came to my faith was broken. I had a bit of a dilemma, because since I hallucinated, how was I to know which experiences were real or a figment of my mind? And that was devastating to me. It was a really, really dark time for me, because my faith means a lot to me. It's the thing that got me through abuse when I was a child, abuse as an adult. My life hasn't been perfect. It's been actually pretty shitty sometimes. And not having that, I felt almost empty. And it took me a while for me to say whether or not they were real in this reality. They were real to me, and that's what matters. Because it doesn't matter what anybody else says. This is what's real to me and what builds on my faith. And I know for a fact that some of them were real in this reality because of the fact that I had witnesses. I had some experiences with my cousin, and she was there. I had experiences with friends from high school, and they were there, so I can say those are real. So I know they're real, and I know deity has blessed me in many ways. But it was really hard, and to get back into the swing of things, it was just exhausting, because schizophrenia, when you're in a hallucination, like I said, it's very, very real. I remember during one of my hospitalizations, I woke up, I was under supervision because I was self-harming and I needed to be under 24-hour surveillance. So I was solitary in a room with a nurse sitting, with a tech or a nurse sitting in the corner, keeping an eye on me. And I remember screaming at the top of my lungs, waking up everybody, because I believed my legs were on fire. And it took 3 nurses to calm me down and convince me that my legs were not on fire. I mean, I could smell it. I could smell the burning flesh. I could feel the fire. I could feel the heat. I could feel the pain. I was screaming, like literally agonizing over this feeling that was so real. And it's terrifying. Most people think, oh, you can control it. No, you can't. You have absolutely no idea when it's going to hit. And if you're really stressed out, they seem to happen even harder and more frequently. And it sucks. And one thing that hurt was, I remember a pastor telling the congregation that when you're hearing voices and schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and those and everything like that, those are demons trying to attack you and convince you of other things and trying to bring you down. And I couldn't wrap my head around that. Granted, it wasn't my pastor or anything, as you know, I'm not a Christian, but my friend had mentioned that, and I was like, I don't have demons. I have a chemical imbalance in my brain, but I don't have demons. And this is very real. This isn't some entity that's taken over my body. This is me. But I came to a point in my life where I said, I don't care what I perceive as real, because nothing is. I decided that none of this life is real, and the only thing that is real is my love for my family and their love for me. And that is the most important thing that I could have. And I've been back and forth with it, and I've been all over the place with it, mostly because I was so unstable. I had to divorce my husband because I couldn't take care of my kids anymore, and CPS was threatening to take them away. So I had to move out, which is why I don't have custody of my kids, and which is why I'm no longer married. Because my symptoms were so erratic, they were actually very harmful for my children. So having schizophrenia is a very terrifying thing. I'm glad I was diagnosed, because now I know what's going on. Now I understand. Now I have the resources for treatment and for counseling. I can call a plethora of people if I am in need. And recently I actually had an episode last month And before it got out of hand, I got it taken care of. I knew which doctors to call. I have a psychiatrist. I have a psychiatric nurse. I have the ECT team. I still have the contact information. I still have the contact information to the head doctor for the ECT team. And I've been so blessed with wonderful people in my life. The school that I'm going to, I explained to the director what I was going through, and I even felt part. I'm just sitting there. And she's worked with me and helped me, and I mean, they have just been absolutely wonderful. My instructors work with me when I'm having a hard time, and the reason my symptoms are showing their colors again is because I'm almost done with my program, so my stress levels are really, really high. And I just, I had to get put on a higher dosage medication and added one, just so that way I could function, because usually I opt for no medication and just treatment. So I had to bite the bullet on that one. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I made the decision that I would not let this hinder my faith and hinder my life any longer. Anyway, I hope that opens a door for someone you love that may have schizophrenia. Hopefully that causes a little bit more awareness, some understanding. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And if you're going to be a troll, I'm just going to delete and block you. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great night and brightest blessings.